Welcome to the stage, Johnny Cochrane!
Come on, yeah! Love it! I am here to lick the roof off. Oh, yes. You know it. Right, I'm going to crack on. Hello to everyone who's seen me here before, but I've got lots to talk about. A lot of shit's happened over the last year and a half, hasn't it? So one of the things that's been grabbing my attention is basically there's quite a lot of racists that are getting really angry, right? And then when you question it over it, they pretend that it's not because they're racist that they're angry, it's other shit, right? And I'll give you an example. The first time I think it started happening was, do you remember when Diversity done that Black Lives Matter dance, right? Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, and then there was a record amount of complaints to Ofcom. And they started going, no, it ain't because of what they're saying that I'm mad about. It's just family viewing. You shouldn't mess with our shit, okay? No, I don't care what they're saying, but it's family time. Britain's got talent. This is not Britain does politics. If anything, it should be Britain's not political. You can short it to BNP, I don't care. All right, just don't make it political, for goodness sake. And the thing is whenever things like this happen, right, one thing I always do is I go on the Daily Mail website, I read the story, and then underneath I read the comments to see how the right wing average man is dealing with this, right? And there was one comment that grabbed my attention, right? This one guy was like, Diversity have got a fucking cheek. How many white dancers they got in their troupe, eh? Genuinely, I mean, right, in this man's mind, I should say, that he genuinely believes the biggest issues facing racial dynamics in this country, and there's not enough opportunity for white dancers. You know what I mean? He's probably been at a house party with his mate Barry in the corner, just like, like, you're the nuts of a dancer, Barry. You just need an opportunity, son. Hey? You'd be great in that Diversity, but they're too fucking politically correct to give you a chance. It's mad, but the fact is that's how we know, right? That is how we know that it's actually not the method that they're annoyed by, it's the message. Another thing that where it came up was when the statues started getting ripped down. Do you remember the slaver statues getting ripped down? The most famous one was Edward Colston. Yes, some claps there, nice, probably people involved in it, actually. Look like they were, the kind of people who nick fucking little street cones on the way home as well. The most famous one was Edward Colston in Bristol, right? He was a famous slaver. Now, people were in uproar. No, you can't rip down our slavers. We want our slaver statues. This guy had a plaque underneath his statue which spoke glowingly about him. Oh, Edward Colston, the city's most wisest and most generous fellow. It's like, what are you doing? This guy is a terrorist. That is what he is. You know what I mean? Similarly, Jimmy Savile, the most prolific sexual predator in this country, right? He had a plaque in Leeds. Within a week of finding out about his historical crimes, they ripped it down, okay? There was no one there going, oh, right, maybe we shouldn't have done it. Maybe we should have, because this was the thing that they said. Why don't we just add a little line, an addendum at the end of his plaque, like, oh, yeah, wise and kind fellow, Asterix was involved in the slave trade. Like you could distill his crimes into just that sentence. You wouldn't have that with Jimmy Savile. No one was saying that. No one was saying, I'll leave Jimmy's plaque up, just add a little line at the end, you know what I mean? Yeah, Jimmy loved the fun run. Oh, yeah. He was great on the decks, he was, yeah. He'd go out of his way to fix it for anyone, yeah. Asterix, he shagged the odd corpse. You wouldn't... Okay, I'm putting it out there. Now, the other thing, the most recent example of this, right, is the uproar around players kneeling, football players kneeling. We've seen it all, right? And they're coming out here and they're being like, no, I don't think you should be doing it. It's all wrong. Nigel Farage, racist in chief in this country, right? He comes out and he says, do you know what? I don't think they should be kneeling because they're secretly doing it as part of a Marxist ploy. Does this guy genuinely think, right, that the new vanguard of the neo-Marxist movement in this country are millionaire footballers? Do they really think that after a game they're going to be like, oh, I'm here with Harry Kane. Harry, you scored a hat-trick today, you won 3-0, you must be delighted. No, not really. And I won't be until the proletariat rise up and reclaim the means of production and thus reshape society along more egalitarian means, thus ending capitalism. Now, if you'll excuse me, Dele Alli's throwing a party at China Whites and there's page 3 models everywhere. Viva la revolution! It's not going to happen. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some, kind of legit criticisms around the whole kneeling situation. Some people think that it's kind of lost its effect. I don't agree with them. Some people think it's a bit tokenistic. But it wouldn't be the first time we've done tokenistic stuff that's been attached to a political cause. Do you remember when we used to wear wristbands, like little blue wristband anti-bullying? Do you remember that? Right, well, I thought about this recently because there's a story attached to it. I used to have an anti-racism wristband, and after I did a gig, it was actually a Kinetic comedy at the last venue, right? I went to the toilet after my set, and a white guy followed me in, right? And as I'm weeing, a guy goes, "Like your wristband, mate." Now, I found it a little disconcerting because that wristband was attached to the wrist of the hand that I was holding my penis with at the time. I'm like, "Yep, checking out. Anything else you like down there, for goodness sake?" He's like, "Yeah, I really like the wristband, right?" And he goes, "I need to buy one of them. Where'd you get it from?" Now, I kid you not, right? His reason for why he wanted one will stop you in your tracks. It certainly did me. This is genuinely true, right? He went, "I need to buy one because I've just been charged with racially aggravated assault, and I want to show the judge I'm not a racist." Like, that's not how it works, mate. You're not going to be in court standing in front of the judge and he's going to be like, Tommy, they're all called Tommy, you've been charged with racially aggravated assault. How do you plead? Oh, how do I plead? That's a tough one. Judge, introducing Exhibit A. And the judge is like, there must be some mistake. I've just found out a bit of this exculpatory evidence. He said, "No, we'll get rid of the racial charge. How about we'll just give you a plain old assault. Exhibit B, anti-bullying. Okay, you're out of there, Tommy. It's fine. Just get out. But once again, it's not the method that they have a problem with. It's the message all the time, guys. That's it. So what else about race as well? So basically, I'm actually going to move it on a little bit, because one of the other things that was a bit of a racial hotspot this last year was when there was an explosive interview with Meghan and Prince Harry. Did we all see that, people? Yeah, exactly. A lot of people got angry about that. And in the explosive interview, Meghan and Harry revealed that one unnamed member of the royal family, brought up the conversation point where they questioned how dark Archie's skin might be. Now, I'm not going to hazard a guess at who the member of the royal family was that's actually said that. I mean, he's dead now anyway, so there's no point in going through that. But yeah. But in general, this whole notion about whether or not a child can pass or not, this is nothing new. This has been going on for generations, guys. It really has. And I have the same thing. I've got a little 1-year-old son, and I have the same thoughts about whether he can pass as well. But not pass as a white person in society. I have issues about whether he could pass as my son. That's the thing. I start thinking, because I've had a child with a white lady, right? And I just think about us going down for walks, on the street. And I just don't want people looking at us as a family, looking at my white wife, looking at my 1-year-old who looks kind of white, looking at me, then looking back at my wife and think, fucking hell, she moved on quick, didn't she? We don't need it. But I'm always about like making my son feel connected to his black heritage. I want that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm always putting like cocoa butter on his skin. Like, come on, he's got to learn. You know what I mean? I'm putting oil in his hair, and whenever like he has a play date or anything, I make sure he turns up late to that shit. Okay? Learn about the culture, son. Learn about it. But, the other point, I'm going to move it on, because something else that's been going on, apart from all the racial dynamics that, over the last year, is we had a pandemic. That was mad, wasn't it? And I'll tell you what, the whole COVID issue has made me more cynical. Like the other day, I was walking through the park with my son, right, and some old geezer was holding a couple of balloons. My son is obsessed with balloons. He's just staring at them like, oh, yeah. And this guy was being kind, right, and he was like, "You can have it if you want." But I'm just sitting there like, you probably blew that up yourself, didn't you, mate? Let's put a hold on that little COVID grenade that you're about to hand over to my son, don't you? Want me to take that into my living room, do you? Just fucking being let off with all your spores at its leisure, no, mate? No. Don't want your COVID grenades, thank you. Not interested. But in general, right, so one of the other things that we've been tested with regards to COVID is before the vaccine, certainly, we all had to almost self-diagnose if we thought that we had COVID. I'm sure you've all done it at one point, like, yeah, I think I got it this time, yeah, I do. But it was hard, wasn't it, guys? It was hard because some of the symptoms around COVID were exactly the same as a hangover, weren't they? Yeah, or even worse, a come down. Like, I don't know this, but I'd imagine that there were people at the driving centre, at the walk-in test centre, just turning up in their car like, "You all right, mate? Fucking hell, I think I've got the COVID. Been up all night, mate, yeah. Sweating, yeah. Can't get it, yeah, need the test, mate, yeah. Need a test. Get it back in a couple of days later. Got my test results back. COVID negative, cocaine positive, okay? Last thing as well, I haven't got long left, but do you know one thing that's kind of caused me bother around the whole COVID adapting to it? Is like, this having to wear masks all the time. Like, the one thing that it's done for me, like, I know there's a lot of people who are really anti-maskers and stuff like that. I'm not that anti-masker, but in general, one thing it's shown me is how bad my breath is sometimes. Why didn't you guys tell me, for fuck's sake? Some of yous have been suffering in silence. I'm chatting to you. Honestly, fucking you want to keep that 2 meters, don't you? Social distance. Honestly, I'm walking around on the street sometimes with my mask on. Like, I think a small woodland creature has come up and died and started to decay. It's my breath. I'm walking around Sainsbury's trying to slow down my breathing, not breathe too much. Just with a mask on, you can't escape. I'm like fucking Darth Vader, like, it's my breath. Right, that's my time, guys. I've been Johnny Cochrane. If you want to follow me on my socials, I'm at @iJohnnyCochrane. That's for you guys on Twitch as well. Enjoy the rest of your night. It's been lovely. Thank you, and